What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach, and give me 6 months of your time and I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about the concept of handle first. So if you don't even know what handle first is, you should know exactly what it is after this video. If you do know what handle first is, you're going to learn some interesting points that I have on if you should have handle first or not. And then also, if you're just struggling to get handle first, you should know exactly the major points that I think is causing you to not get handle first. So if you're interested in all that, well, this is the perfect video for you, and let's go jump in. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Kiwi Golf Japan. If you're too busy or you just can't make it out to our locations for lessons, Kiwi Golf Japan is the membership site for you. With 230 plus videos of golf instruction, we have everything on the site you could possibly want. So go ahead and check out that link down below, and now let's get into the video. So to start out this video, we're gonna cater to you beginner golfers out there. If you've never heard of what handle first is, or you really don't get the concept, this is gonna be perfect because we're gonna go over it now. For all of you guys out here who already know the definition, skip ahead in the video, use the chapters down below, you guys are gonna be just fine, right? So skip ahead. So for you beginners out there, let's talk about what is handle first. So to start talking about handle first, there's really two main points you need to understand. The first thing is handle first is gonna be where the hands are situated relative to the golf ball from this face-on view. And then also handle first is gonna be at impact, so when you're hitting the golf ball, right? Those 2 points are very important to understand. So if the hands are ahead of the golf ball at impact, that would be handle first, right? That's the simplest definition. It doesn't matter where the body is, it doesn't matter where the body's rotated towards. As long as these hands are ahead of the golf ball, that would be what would be considered handle first. So now that you guys have the basic definition, let's move forward in this video. So the next thing I want to talk about is, why is handle first so important? Well, to answer this question, I want you guys to really understand the image of a hose spraying out some water, right? So let's just say this golf club right here is my hose, it's spraying out some water. Well, if I have that hose at a certain speed and I point it like this, it's gonna go a certain distance. If I point it maybe a little bit higher, it might go a further distance, right? So relative to the speed that the water is coming out of the hose and the trajectory that the hose is pointed at, you can actually get optimal distance that the water is gonna carry. So when it comes to the golf swing and it comes to hitting the golf ball, it's the same thing, right? So if I come in here and let's say I have this handle way forward like this and I don't swing very fast, the golf ball is gonna go really low, it's not gonna go very far, right? Versus that same speed, if the handle is a little bit more this way or just barely ahead, I'd probably hit the golf ball a lot further relative to the one right here. Now, opposite of this would be, if I come into the golf ball like this, I might actually get that hose scenario too high to where it actually starts to go really short as well. So in this case, if I hit the ball this way versus maybe hitting the golf ball a little bit more this way, that could actually get the golf ball to go much, much further. So the reason why handle first is so important is it's going to help you to get the correct trajectory that you need. No matter what, most people will not need to get the handle laid at impact. You're gonna need to have at least a little bit of handle first, but the main point here is, think about the hose effect. Handle first is relative to that. We wanna get the hose pointed at the correct height so we can get the optimal distance. So the next thing I want to talk about is this concept of vertical gear effect, and please, if you're kind of a little bit scared with that terminology, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down really simply. So I know all of you guys out there have watched these PGA Tour pros or these JTTO players have this perfect looking impact, right? The hands look like they're quite far forward, maybe towards the left thigh, and you guys all want to get the same impact position. Now later in this video, we're going to discuss if that's something you actually need to do, but let's just take that as we do want to do that for now. Well, what's happening here is, when the player actually hits the golf ball, their hands are not this far forward. Vertical gear effect just tells us that, let's say they have leaned the shaft right around 10 degrees or 7 degrees. When you hit the golf ball, what happens is the top of the face of the golf club actually goes like this as you hit the golf ball, as the golf ball is rolling up the face, compressing, and then leaving the face. So what does that mean? Well, that means that even though you're seeing these pros get their hands this far forward, they're not actually physically doing that when they hit the golf ball. The interaction of the golf ball to the face is causing the handle to lean even further and then getting that image. So that's something important to keep in mind, and also will really help out later in the video. So this next part of the video, we're going to talk about how different club speeds need different handle first amounts. So now that you guys understand the whole hose effect, as well as you guys understand that whole vertical gear effect, let's start talking about a player who's swinging a 7-iron that might be swinging roughly right around 30 meters per second. So if this player had the same tour-like impact, so let's say they had about 10 degrees of handle first, and then they get that vertical gear effect, that player who's swinging that 7-iron at 30 meters per second is going to hit the ball so low with no carry and no spin control that it's not a really functional shot when it comes to the course. Just imagine yourself 130 yards away from the green, hitting the golf ball below your head height. You're not going to hold it on the green as well. You're probably not even going to carry it to the green. Imagine the green is a little bit of an upslope like that too as well. You're probably not going to get it up there. So it's not a functional shot to hit. So that type of player should never try to have the image of that tour impact, right? Trying to get those hands on the thigh. That would be a terrible advice for them to do, and they would not want to do that. So for a player like that, maybe they want about 1 to 2 degrees of this handle first. Then from there, the vertical gear effect will get them a little bit more, but ultimately, what they're going to have is a launch angle and a dynamic loft that's a lot more pertinent to their speed, so they're going to get the ball higher, it's going to land softer, and it's going to be a much more functional shot. So now the next player we're going to talk about is going to be a fast swinging player, right? Let's take that same 7-iron example, but now we're swinging at 40 meters per second, a lot faster, right? 10 meters per second faster. So if this 40 meter per second player had the same 2 degrees of handle first that the prior player at 30 meters per second had, and then got that vertical gear effect, well, unfortunately for that person, they're probably going to start to get that whole hose idea way too vertical. It's going to launch way too high, and then the golf ball will come down something like this. So they're not going to get their optimal carry amount as well. The ball's going so high, it's also not very practical as well, especially when it's into the wind. So a fast swinging player, 40 meter per second for a 7-iron player, they're going to be much closer, and they do want to identify with that tour player, right? They want to have the image of getting the hands in line with the thigh right around impact is kind of that image. And then ultimately, they're probably going to have about 10 degrees of handle first. When they hit the golf ball, vertical gear effect will take over, give them a little bit more, and they're going to have a very similar launch angle and dynamic loft as a tour player, and that's a much better matchup for that particular player. So in that last example, we were focusing on really dynamic lofts and handle first amounts that was going to be optimal for carry. But what if we have those same players that want to get different trajectory types? They want to hit a little higher on some shots because they want to land it softer, or they want to hit a little lower because it's into the wind. Well, relative to the optimal carry handle first, they're going to need to have a much different handle first for the different trajectories. Let's take this 30 meter per second player hitting a 7-iron, right? Let's say if they want to hit the ball higher and they want to land it softer, they might need to have no handle first, or if anything, maybe even have like 2 to 3 degrees handle late. That's going to allow them to launch the ball higher and land the ball softer if so needed. Versus that fast swinging player, they obviously couldn't have a little bit of handle late because again, they're still going to hit the ball too high. But relative to that player having 10 degrees of handle first, then having that vertical gear effect in the optimal carry, that high swinging player, maybe if they had 5 degrees of handle first and then got the vertical gear effect, that's going to get them to hit it much higher, but a normal height higher, right? Not too high. So I hope you guys are starting to kind of understand here. There's not just one handle first for everyone. It's very different. It's relative to what trajectory you want to hit. Do you want to get optimal distance? All of this needs to come into fact when you're thinking about what type of handle first you want to have. All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube. But before you guys click off the video, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So I think the most important parts of the video for you guys on YouTube was going to be the points where we talked about the hose as well as the vertical gear effect. Just understand that not every club head speed player needs to get this PGA Tour-like impact position. If you strive for it and you actually get it, you actually might be quite disappointed because you're probably going to lose distance and it's not going to be very fun. So understand, for whatever speed you have, there's an optimal height that you want to point that hose, or i.e. the optimal amount of handle first that you want. You need to go out there, do the research, and figure out what's the optimal one for you, which then leads us into the Kiwi Coach 6-month program. So if you're struggling with that, make sure to check out the Kiwi Coach 6-month program online and in person. We'd love to help you guys out, so sign up for one of those. Go to the website, sign up for the membership site because it really helps support us so we can continue to make videos for you guys on YouTube. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.